So the civility in the room is overwhelming.
We're sorry.
I don't know who to present this to, but it is a policy issue. There's no civility in Congress. So in the House of Representatives, you have this thing called the Hastert Rule that has kept Republicans working with Democrats and passing legislation that would make sense. You have the 60-vote majority rule in the Senate. So if that helps block comprehensive and thoughtful legislation there. So if we assume that the House of Representatives is going to remain a Republican, run by the Republicans, and perhaps the Senate will have a 56 to 54 majority for Democrats, how can you translate the civility that's happening here to work in the organization that has to pass all of the legislation that's going to bring about issues that you've raised tonight?
That's a question for Professor Duong. Here, would you share?
It's funny that's directed to me because I actually do not consider civility a particularly important value from my own perspective, actually. I actually find it, so there's a lot of descriptions of this election being particularly uncivil, but I remember taking American political thought classes as a graduate student, and when you read the speeches from elections in the 19th century, in the early 20th century, they're just as vicious as the current ones. I'm not totally convinced that we've entered this unprecedented age of like unsolvable uncivility, and in a lot of ways, so like, yes, like uncivil discourse is really hurtful. Yes, it's really hard to have discussion across uncivil discourse. It's also kind of the warp and weft of democracy, and I am prepared to own that. So I'm not convinced that we need, I'm maybe alone up here.
I know.
I'm not like about
I
to
agree.
be. So I am not a champion of civility as like a first order value. It's something we should aspire to when we can, but there are places and times in which incivility is the proper form of political speech, and I'm prepared to own that.